Hello, my name is Nollaig Heffernan and I am going to discuss how organisational structure dictates role responsibility. I'm going to use that by using three concepts that are going to be represented by the triangles behind me. So the first triangle that I'm going to look at is going to discuss the concept of focus. So when you start off in a role in a business or when you set up a business, there's a lot of task focused work to be done. So down here we see loads of tasks to be done on a daily basis. And in a milking business, a dairy business, that's going to be the milking of the cows every day and everything that's related to those daily tasks. So very task focused. And if you're a business owner or you're a unit manager and you have moved through the agricultural industry, well, then you will have started out your career very much focused on that dairy work and learning all of those skills. As you progressed in your career or decide to create your own business or develop your own business, you will have noticed that the focus moves away from task, which is working in the business, and it becomes more about distributing resources to other people to do that work. And then eventually we get up to the top, which would be senior management or business ownership, where you are looking at vision. And vision is a leadership concept where you're thinking about, well, where do I want this business to go? How am I going to drive it forward? And you're thinking about working on the business rather than in the business. So we see a dramatic shift as you move through an organization from task to vision. Our focus changes. Because as we're moving along, our focus changes, the complexity of our focus also changes. So this next triangle is going to represent complexity. Now, if you're milking the cows every day, there's a set way to do it. You've got your machine set up, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. There's very little variation. And we say it has low complexity. So this is low complexity down here. One of the other reasons that it has low complexity is because if we make a mistake during a milking, for example, we can quite quickly see that we've made the mistake and we can rectify it. And so we might have one bad milking across the whole year or a small number of milkings across the whole year. It's not a hugely impactful in terms of value. So we've got low value, it's low, each milking is low value, but we have to do a lot of it, hence the broad base of that pyramid in order to get our return. As we move up along, however, and we move towards vision, complexity dramatically increases. And the reason complexity increases as we move towards vision is because we've got options. So when you put options in place, remember when we're milking the cows, there's one way to do it. But as I'm driving my business forward, maybe I will diversify, maybe I'll expand, might be thinking about land acquisition, could be thinking about succession, might be looking at changing the genetic profile of my herd. These are big decisions, many options related to any of those ideas. And as a result, those options cause complexity because there's the fear that you'll miss there's always the worry that you pick the wrong thing to pursue. So we've got options that add to complexity as we move through the business, as opposed to when we were down on task, just milking the cows and doing the day-to-day business. If we've got options, we've got risk. So complexity is about risk because, as I mentioned, if those big decision making, if we get them wrong, if I expand incorrectly, if I overstretch myself in land acquisition, they carry a lot of risk with them and can potentially damage the business long term. So, and as a result, because of the big decisions, they're also high value. So we've got a lot more money at stake here, a lot more investment of resources at stake in those big things. And that's what causes complexity. So with our focus, a change in focus from task to vision, we see also a change in risk or complexity in terms of the decisions that we have to make as we move from task to vision. If we want to do this really, really well and manage our vision in terms of complexity and mitigate those risks and make sure that we get great return for our investment of time and money and resources, well, then we need to change our personal input. And this last triangle represents input. And this input is really about moving away from working in to working on. So that's a big mindset shift for anybody in agriculture. Moving away from being in the business, which is that hands-on, day-to-day, often very labor-intensive role within the business, and moving towards that working on concept, which for many farmers, it's uncomfortable. They think it is lazy. I haven't done a good day's work. I was in the office all day. What might my staff think of me? They think I'm lazy. They think I'm not working. We have a lot of, agriculture has a lot of guilt around the idea of not being physically active. What we know about people who are really good at this is that they're making the right decisions. And if there's an aspect of farming that they really love, for example, they like milking cows, well, once you've got your big decision making, once you've your correct work done in terms of the role that you find yourself in your business, once you've that done, of course you can go and do the things that you like. But what you should never find yourself doing is working at the wrong level of the business given your structural role. So if you think if you're senior member of staff, so you're the business owner or you're a multi-unit manager, for example, you shouldn't find yourself working down here on these tasks frequently, because these are low value tasks. So you need to find yourself operating as much as possible up here, because that's your value to the business. Now, in order to be able to remove yourself to work on the business, you need to put a lot of time and focus into this area here, which is task. And so we need to see people really you need to see businesses really working on processes. You need to have very, very clear standard operating procedures in place. You need clear lines of accountability so people know who they're speaking to and they're not frustrating and annoying you by constantly asking you questions. You're putting a huge amount of structure in place to allow the people at this level of the organization to get on with their job. By so doing, you're in a position to get on with your job, because you can extract yourself from the business, from working in the business, and you can start working on the business, which are these higher level areas up here that add considerably more value to the business. So thinking about organizational structure, if you want to be a business owner that gets the opportunity to pursue other opportunities, to extract yourself from the business, to be able to work on the business, and to really make those decisions well and to make them correctly, you need to be able to extract yourself from the day-to-day running to work on the business. I appreciate that there are many businesses who feel understaffed. It's about working smarter, not harder. So it would be looking for opportunities to automate down here. And that could be as simple as just having really good standard operating procedures in place so that in your absence, work can continue. It's thinking in advance who's on the roster, who's potentially missing, and really structuring your day, your week, your month, your year, so that you are protecting the most valuable time in the business, which is operating all the way up here. So think about organizational structure when you want to understand what's the best use of your time. Never find yourself doing what you like doing over what you should be doing, and certainly never find yourself doing things that you have paid somebody else to do. So if you've paid somebody else to do this work and you're doing it and you're a business owner or a unit manager, you're paying two people to do the work and you're one of the most expensive people, if not the most expensive person in the business. So organizational structure will tell you what you should be doing at any one time based on where your focus should be, the level of complexity that is linked to that focus, and then your input as to whether am I hands-on or hands-off. And that should really give you a clear indication of how to run your business better and to get better return. Thank you very much.